Hey everyone, welcome to Arch's Garage. So let me give you our mission statement for today. All right, we got a review to do of a company called CLSR2U. Yeah, I know it's a little bit of a tongue twister. Anyway, we've actually worked with this company before. They sent us over some replacement wheels for, mid-2000 series Craftsman lawnmowers. Nice lawnmowers, right? I love those lawnmowers. And those are the fancy wheels, right? They kind of have like a design on the front. No hubcaps, come in gray and white. I think the one that we did was gray. I don't remember exactly, but nice wheels. Get the gears inside for the front wheel drive transmission setup. Nice stuff. It seemed to work pretty good. Recently, they sent me over a request to do a review on a carburetor, and I said, sure, send the thing over, right? So let me back up a little bit and just define review, because I've seen some comments about probably obviously they directed at me, hawking stuff. Look, there's a difference between, I don't know what hawking, I get hawking, right? If I'm going to do a product and I want to, let's say, push a product, right? I'll push that product if I think it's worthy. I push Super Clean, right? I don't get paid from Super Clean. Right? That's a contractual thing. It's really none of anybody's business what us YouTubers do and what we make and whatever. If you don't want to share that, it's up to you. That's not a review. I did a review on Super Clean many, many years ago. It's like 2 years ago now. And I think even Olivia, we did a giveaway, which don't worry, we're going to be doing another one in January if this video comes out within January. So I want to get this video out because it's important for the manufacturer, and I'll get into that in a minute. So a review is different than sort of pushing a product. Like if you're pushing a product and you're doing an advertisement, which is a completely different thing. If you're part of the advertising of a product, right? You're pushing a product because you're making money or you have some contractual agreement. And for me and for many YouTubers, we'll do that because we have some kind of an agreement and we like the product. And so therefore you can kind of push the product in that way. That's not a review. A review is something where you have complete control, and you really should always have complete control as a creator over the product that you're discussing or you're talking about. A review is if it doesn't work and it doesn't work out well and you don't like it, as a YouTuber, right, you have the choice. You don't have to show it to the people that watch your channel. You can just send it back to the customer and say, look, I don't like it, here's why. Or you can share with everybody, and you should have the control over that, and I do. This is a review. We're going to look at this product. It's a carburetor for Tecumseh, and we're going to I'm not going to pick it apart, but what... Obviously, I'm making this intro after sort of the video. And so as I'm checking it out, I'm finding issues with it. And then I was able to write up a reasonable review that I could email over to the manufacturer, and they're going to be changing the product. But I highly, strongly recommend it to them and to you guys that you watch the whole video, because I go in a lot more in depth in what my recommendations are to make a better product for us. And for the manufacturer, and it covers a lot more than anything that I could possibly write in a review report via email, right? Because there's pictures, it's video, I can show, I can talk about it, and I'll probably even do a live stream on this as well because it's worthy, right? So we can get in there, we can look at what's good about this carburetor and what the manufacturer is trying to deliver us, for us versus what I find in my experience of repairing these machines and the things that I think it must absolutely have and it doesn't have, and why, right? So let's get in that right now. Let's go over to the video, and then we'll come back a little bit later on and chat a little bit more about it, all right? I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, gentlemen, so I opened up this box on the live stream. So let's just kind of dump it. I cleaned up everything. And by the way, I was looking at a little closer his float bowl, and it's got a hole in it. All right. And I'll show you that probably on the overhead too. And it's down here. So yeah, garbage. And this thing is just really naggy. I mean, I'll show you on the overhead too in a minute. It's done. Okay. But we have a really nice carburetor here and some stuff. And I also have a suggestion for the manufacturer. Now, let me just check my notes. So the name of this company is CLSR2U. And again, notes and stuff will be interlaced in the video, and they will also be in the links in the description. So let's go over to, by the way, I got all this all cleaned up. I used my little Scotch-Brite on my whiz wheel, and just to kind of polish that up nice, make sure it's nice and clean. The gasket on this side is good. We have a gasket here for this side. We'll take that out. And so I wanted to make a comment about what's in the kit. In this kit, this came. And these are kind of like fuel lines, but they don't really fit. I think that what they were trying to do is give you a way of adapting something like this, but it's not really the right size. All right, so you need something bigger. Let me see. So this is a cheaper aftermarket style fuel line, and it's, let's see, GLO 92816 IR-Y. I don't know what the size is. It doesn't say it, but it's more of the correct size. So if you wanted to provide little pieces of fuel line, if that was in the intent, you've got the wrong fuel line. So that's again, this is hold on, air compressor. That's a recommendation to the company. So maybe they were thinking that you could splice in or something, because you've got a valve, and you've got a filter, you've got a bunch of hose clamps, which is very nice. We have this nice spark plug. We'll get to that, but this would fit here. See how that fits? And it's too short. All right. The other company I deal with, they provided in the kit for the last carburetor this nice long piece of vacuum pressure line. And that's to replace this guy here. So if you have a push primer, and we're going to take a look at that in a little later in the video, you got a push primer mounted to your pull stock cover, engine cover, you're going to probably need a replacement line. They should put this line in, which is essentially, it's the same line. All right, this one's a little bit bigger inside diameter. This one, it looks like it's the same. All right, so they're a little bit bigger inside diameter than this. So what they should be doing is putting a length of line. Why don't I measure that in inches? And this is my ruler. It used to say, is this the one? My daughter got me one of these. It said #1 dad. The sticker might have fell off, for like Father's Day or whatever. Let's just see, in inches. Just roughly, right? So it's like a 2-footer. Yeah, 2 feet, a little bit more. 2 feet of a vacuum style line. So my recommendation would be is, since you're already putting this in the box, or maybe they cut it to fit in the box, maybe get a little bit bigger box, right? This box is not all that big. I don't know, you could probably fit this, maybe a little deeper box or something. I know packaging can be difficult for manufacturers. They got shipping. Let's take a look at the plug, by the way. So certainly, this is useless. So it's just the manufacturer's throwing their money away by doing that. I'll take it. And this seems like a plug. I mean, we're going to put it in. We're going to try it. It says Z4C, whatever that means. It's Jing Ying. So that's their plug. We'll try it. We'll run it up. It might work fine. We'll see. So anyway, that's my advice. And because otherwise we're not getting anything useful, I clean these off a little bit of solvent, and then they're in a bit of acid. This is an adjustable style jet. I don't know if it fits into these carburetors, okay? So that could be, it could very well be. You want to take a peek and see what's inside the carburetor before we put it together? I think we should. All right, let me get a wrench for that. All right, 13 millimeters. Notice the flat is over here, right? Here's the fuel intake. Oh my, it's on there, good. So let's take a peek inside. All right, that looks pretty good. You want to see what size that is? I think we should. It's actually assembled with a bit of lubricant. The flat is over the fulcrum. Everything, yeah, it's got some lubricant around it. That's nice. Has a brass insert. which I can see. You may not be able to see that, but it actually has a brass insert where the needle goes for the seat. They didn't do that originally. Okay. Is it the same this way? Might be. Feels like it is. That's this side. Seems like it. We'll know in a minute. Now, is it the same there? It's, by the way, it's got a brass emulsion tube, which is nice. And that's brass, but it's stuck. I tried to get it out. It's stuck. Usually, a lot of Tecumsehs that came later, after the 80s, in the 90s, they were plastic. And they break. They get brittle. So, looks very good so far. Let's, let me just put this back. Let me go poke at that size for a minute, and I'll tell you what I come up with. Give me a minute. We'll be back. So a couple of things I did was I cleaned this up. That's not too bad. This had gotten kind of pitted. So this is the adjustable jet. So I cleaned it up, a little bit of acid, and then some Scotch-Brite. Also this. And what I noticed too was the keeper on the needle is rusting. By the way, if you want to clean it, there's a little hole right here on the adjustable. All right, so you can stick your keeper in. And let me show you on this one. Not bad. So I looked inside the jet. I'm just going to put these back here. I got everything cleaned up, with, like I said, with a little Scotch-Brite and the acid. I'm going to put those in a little Ziploc bag to save it. We may be able to use it. So this is 028, as confirmed by... Now, does this one have a little hole on the side? Yes, it does. Hold on. Let me show you. So the ones, generally they do. The ones without, as well, the ones without the adjustment. A little rusty, so keep one for cleaning this stuff. We'll keep that to the side. So 028, and I confirmed it. On here it says 0.028, and I checked it with my mitutoyo. So let me put this back. Stand by. Hold on. I put it back. Put your stuff away. Especially stuff like this. Little tools like that, they get damaged, get lost. All right, now the other thing I wanted to mention, let's just check. Now, I see it here. It is definitely parallel. Let me throw the other camera on. This has got a little cap in it. That's just your idle jet. It's not adjustable. So as you can see, it's pretty much parallel. All right, just sticking up a little bit, but I like that. It won't flood the carburetor. So that's adjusted well. Not seeing anything wrong here. Everything looks real good. Let's make sure we get that gasket on properly. And I like that they put a little bit of lubricant on it. I do that. Especially if you're talking about something that's going to be shipped in a container. So it's a 13 millimeter. Make sure it's going on well. All right. All right, well, I'm happy with that so far. So there's the idle jet. Again, fixed. There's your tube, right, for your push prime. Right here. Push this stuff back out of the way for a bit. We're not using it. Here's our gasket. I'm going to put... Where is my stuff? I'm going to put a little bit of chain wax on it. Right now. So everything's tight there. So we just need to put this bracket on. Now, here's the one thing I don't like. It's actually missing the bracket here, and that's not good. So it's the correct carburetor, but it's missing the bosses. So that's a problem because this is what holds on. So it's, you know, even though it's for snow blowers, this is what actually holds on that front can. So I didn't even realize that, but yeah, we can't really use it. So it's a nice carburetor, but it's missing the bosses for that. So yeah, I don't know how else you would mount it, because it needs to mount from the front. So we need to get it. We're going to need to get another carburetor. I don't know what this is for, but it doesn't fit. And there isn't a single snowblower that I'm aware of that and see, this one actually has a straight tube, and this is an angle. So this is actually for another machine. This is not really for a snowblower. This will fit on my Green Rider. It has a different thing here, and we'd have to cut that out, but it would fit on my Green Rider. So what we need to do is, as nice as this is, I just realized that, yeah, I don't know of any snowblower that doesn't have this boss. There's no air filter, so this is the box. And so it comes from behind and lines up. And I'll do it too in the other shot, another angle. Where am I? Yeah, somewhere here. It lines up to that. You can see the holes peeking through. Right, or another shot would be, something like this, right? So the holes will peek through there. I'm going to hit the other camera angle. So carb's coming this way, and it would be lined up right there. So there's not much that holds this on. You got a piece here and a piece here. And a lot of times these screws come out that go into here. So I always say put blue Loctite. Let me just make sure these are. I always say put blue Loctite like they put here, because they come out. They don't come out here as much, but they come out on that front cover, and they get lost, and then the cover hangs down and it bends, and then the other part is in tin, which goes into the cover for the flywheel. Full start. So it's just in a piece of tin. And the other, and one, I'll show you that in a minute. Let me just finish this thought. So this is straight through. This is not. So this is the same angle that I was complaining about on the Green Rider. This is for the Green Rider. So this is in tin. This literally goes into the starter cover. This one here. It's just a piece of tin. It's like this. And that pops out. This one goes into the block. And a lot of times that snaps. It galls in and oxidizes, and it won't come out. So once again, in the other angle, tin goes into tin, goes into the block. And I'll show you real quick. Something like this goes up here. And just up there, just that one spot, as far as I can remember, is right there. Let me get the other angle. Like right here. Gonna clean this up tomorrow and we'll spray it. Just quick, right? We're gonna get everything all cleaned up for him. Not bad. All right, fellas, I'm just going to time out, stop the review process here for a minute, and it's time to go have some fun, right? Let's go have some fun. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have it in the title or whatever, but we're going to stick this carburetor on the Green Rider. And I kind of said that it would be in one of the last videos of the year, that it would be the last video of the year. And it's not like I kind of fibbed or anything. This is a new year. And by the time this video comes out, technically, it'll probably be January or almost January. So it'll be a new year. So let's stop right here. Let's just grab this carburetor. What it is, we're not going to use a choke as I showed. We're going to use the push primer. As I explained, we don't really need a choke. It's just warm weather. Let's try the push primer and let's put it on the Green Rider and let's go see, right, what it does on the Green Rider. And if everything works out good, I can put the Green Rider away, right, for the year. All right, let's get started. This is my carburetor. This is the original equipment carburetor. We'll go to an overhead shot in a minute, but I just wanted to show, I measured this and I checked it. Okay, so this fits to here. I measured the new carburetor. It fits in here, although you cannot actuate the choke because it will hit here, and I'll show that in a minute. I also measured the bolt centers or the ends of the bolts, right, to where they go here. Everything that way fits. So we have this here, right, aims up. This one aims down. So that might be a good or bad thing. I got to check to see. I don't know if you can spin it. I don't think you can. So I want to go check to see if that's the case. The other thing too is, once again, this carburetor also uses the bolt, these bolt studs here, or standoffs. This one does not have it. This one does not need, my carburetor does not need a push prime. This one does. I think the push prime is essentially set up for snow blowers because it's really cold, and you may have left it outside or whatever. So a push prime helps you to get it started. This helps you, the choke helps you to keep it running until things warm up. We don't really need that for a lawnmower, but it doesn't have these standoffs here. It just doesn't have them. So I don't know what this carburetor would be used for, honestly. I've never seen an application like this, and I don't think it really exists. I'm going to recommend to them that they just, I don't know what you would do with this carburetor. I really don't know, unless they know of something specific. But I would just make it with the standoffs on it. And that way you could use it in a lot of applications. You probably could get away with it. Now, it may have a different bore. So it might be slightly smaller carburetor, which when I was experimenting, I have to say that when I was experimenting, one of the things that I was doing was closing this bore down effectively with the choke. That in a way makes the carburetor seem smaller. And you can see the venturi is a slightly different size. So by doing that, it increases the velocity in the venturi area, and the engine liked that. That this might be an advantage for us. Remember, it is a small engine. Like it's not really that big of an engine. What is it, a 10 horsepower? I forget, 8, 10? It's not very big. Let me see if I can fit this and get the hose to come up this way. I don't really like the hose coming down, honestly. The problem is, either way, the muffler is in the way. So my thinking is, if I get another carburetor, a standard carburetor, I may be able to put a different carburetor on and modify the choke, but this one, yeah, I don't know what you would do with it, other than the fact that the venturi is small. I'd like to try it. Let me think about what I want to do, and we'll be back. All right, so I mounted the carburetor on because I want to try to fit it and see what I can do about the hose, the gas line. This comes out easy, so we could modify chokes in the future. You just take that out, this should slip right out. Right? We don't necessarily need that. There's no point in putting the other one on because we don't know what the hell it's going to do. You know, I can't mount that bracket, but it may be enough to just put a longer line on for push prime, because it is a warm weather application. So this is bolted up. Let's just put this to the side. That could be useful for something else. Let me fit this on and see what I want to do with the fuel line, and I'll take it from there. If it runs better, right, we can play around and do some modifications. I also need to figure out how this goes. and I forget now. So I think they're close to being the same. This one has an extra hole here, which is common. Again, it doesn't have the same hole arrangement. And now that I look at it, oh yeah, we can't use it. Can we? Wait. Hold on, we might be able to. Yeah, let me just make sure. Yes, that's a totally different hole arrangement. So let's see if I can even get the throttle on properly, because that's a very different throttle arrangement. So I don't know what the heck they would do with this. All right, let me play around. Now, most of these don't come with any kind of gasket. So I thought, all I like to do is like to put, I have all these Briggs gaskets. So what I just do, in case you're looking for your Tecumseh or something, I just grab it and I pass my drill uni-bit. Careful. Usually like one does it. Sometimes two. It's not much. Yeah, it almost goes in there. All you care about is getting it so you can just pass the bolt through. The rest of it will seal up nice. Just use gasket. That'll work. Let's see. Yeah, it needs to be drilled a little bit more. All right, let me finish that up, and then we'll get to the next step. All right, so it's installed. I got my little dongle here, my little blower dongle, and that should be enough, right, to blow it. Fuel valve is on. I think I have enough fuel. I don't like the way the hose is routed for the fuel. All right, that I don't like. Got the gasket in there. I've got a Phillips head screwdriver because I have a feeling that the idle is set too high. I've got a little Torx or whatever for this guy. We could probably do this by hand. This is an adjustment over here for governor. And the seat switches, I disconnected it. I don't remember if that works. I haven't tested it yet. I don't remember. Yeah, I know that if you get off the seat, the engine will shut off. So we're going to... This seems to be working, but I don't know how well, the throttle. And let's just give it a kick and see what happens. It should be in neutral. Nothing should happen. Let's just see. So she'll start. We're not going to do anything other than pressing this. I don't see any leaks. I hear fuel. I see fuel coming out. We should be able to start it over. And let's see. We got a little bit of throttle. sounds pretty good, fellas. I'm liking it so far. We don't need the choke. I think we're good to go. I would like to put a little bit of RTV or something right there, or a screw to cover that hole so we don't get dirt in. This is working fine. I'm going to put a longer hose on it. It still runs a little lean. We'll pull the plug when it cools down. Let me work on the rest of it. What you saw me do, right? So this actually adjusts a combination of the idle pull on the governor, and then by bending this tang, and I'll get you in close and I'll show you, that puts more tension on the spring so that when we pull for full throttle, right, it pulls harder against the governor, bringing the RPMs up. So we went from 3,000 to 32. I think that's a better top RPM, and about 16, 17 for a low RPM. It sounds good. It sounds better, right? Still it started running better anyway. When I was using it about a week ago on a nice day like today. So yeah, let me finish up a little bit and I'll take it for a cruise. We can mount this. We already have a hole, but we need to make a hole for these guys. So I just made this. That should work. What do you think? Just punch that. And I don't know. I gotta find the size for this. I use my little calipers and I'll figure out the size. And then we'll just push it in and then it'll live there and we'll connect up a tube. So I just used a uni bit to spot at, make sure everything's centered. And this is pretty straight, right? You're not gonna see it anyway. At some point I need to remove that lousy writing that I put on there. We'll get to that. All right, I'm just going to spot those two holes, drill them out with the uni bit. I think it's like 1/4 of an inch or a little less, and sneak up on it, and then we'll mount it. All right, got off that crappy writing. That's mounted. Put a little bit of RTV next to the fingers. You don't want to embed it into the fingers because you won't get it off. It'll just struggle. But yeah, that's done. Comes back through this way. I used the big line, the two-stroke style line, fuel line. It's like used for almost nothing, but vacuum, it's great. It's excellent for that. Tucked it underneath here. We got a little bit of RTV in that hole. I decided to use RTV. It's been drying for a little while, so it should be fine. Because in case I want to use the carburetor for something else, I don't know. I don't want to put a screw in that hole because it's a bore, and it's so that you can spin the choke blade. Not so sure I like this. That could be a problem in the future, but it's routed well. It does kind of hit the muffler here, so I'm thinking about putting an extra piece of fuel line on that. See it down there? So I want to deal with that somehow before we're done. Everything's back on. I'm going to put the air filter housing on. It doesn't look like there's an issue with mounting the air filter housing. It seems to be out of the way. Don't forget there's going to be a skirt back here, so it's not going to be in the way of anything. I think so far so good. Let me continue and we'll do a road test in a bit. All right, couple of last minute things. I just moved this line over here, the electrical line over. All I do is just take this ground, the negative on the terminal of the battery, and just move it. Move this wire on the other side of it. It's kind of hitting over here. Put a little bit more lubricant over there. She gets a little jammed up when you go to shift it, but we'll deal with that another day. I did put some lubricant on it, but I think the issue is underneath. Over here, I put just a piece of fuel line, right? Over the top, snapped it on. You guys are probably saying, "Oh, just put some tie wraps on it." I'm not putting tie wraps on it. Where's it going to go? Is it going to go to the moon? Easy. I'm not putting tie. Put a tie wrap on that arch, right? It might fall, right? All right. Maybe I'll put a tie wrap. Maybe. This looks good. We're all done here. I checked the oil. You know it's leaking. Still, we'll still got to fix that. I think we're good, right? That should work. I tightened up the bowl a little bit. It's leaking a little bit, right? See? Another piece of thing. It's something with that gasket, so I might want to chase that gasket out real quick. It's that crappy gasket. So another issue. Let me take a look at that. First, I want to go grab some food. And then I'll find a new gasket for the jet on the bottom. I took the bowl apart, so maybe it's just a crappy gasket. But, it's another thing I don't like. I think we're good everywhere else. Maybe spray a little lube on that cable. And, I'll drive it around. We'll see what happens. And then if it's good, I also want to put a little stop leak in these tires. They're still leaky. So I'll do that when I come back from lunch, and then I'll go police the yard or drive it around. If everything seems fine, which it probably will, then I'll bring it back in. I'll put the skirt on. We'll pull the battery out. We'll pull the gas out of it. And if it's not today, then tomorrow I'll put it away. So far, these tubes are holding up. I haven't had to touch them. Remember? All right, let me go do that. Running good. We'll check the plug tomorrow, but she's running real good. I can tell right away. I think that's it. I'm gonna just run it around the yard a little bit more test, maybe add a little more fuel in it. Start it right up, we don't need to choke. It's cold too. So I'll grind up a little bit more, maybe I'll pull some leaves out, have a little bit of fun, and I'll finish up tomorrow. I'll bring this in the garage tonight and leave it in there, and just to do a little bit more until I get cold, because it's pretty nasty out. I'm happy. I'll let you know a little bit more too by the end of the video how the rest of the road tests, but I can tell right away she's run good. Now this is one of the things I like about this guy. There was a lot of oil and junk collecting up in here. We're going to leave the oil and the junk in there. I got most of it out with the pressure washer. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but this is what I like about this, right? You can just kind of pick it up like this real easy, and you know I got that bad back, and this is not too heavy for me. It's not too stressful, and I'm just gonna put it away. No super clean on it, guys. We did the paint on it. It was clear coat. Whatever oil and muck is on it that's left over, that'll help it probably protect it a little bit. I'm just kind of letting it out here to dry. Let me go find a spot for it in the shed now. That's my next goal, and I'll put it away. You should be able to see it. So it's a little sooty, but I'm starting to see a chocolatey brown come. And now keep in mind that I ran about as much gas as I would normally run in like the Honda self-propelled. I burned up whatever little bit was in the tank, and then I added in almost a full mason jar's worth. And you could see she was starting to clean up a little bit. Some of that soot junk that's on there, that was probably from when the other carburetor, should have cleaned it first, but whatever. We'll deal with it next year. But that's not a lot of gas, but it ran really well. So we'll clean this next year, and watch, why don't you just throw it clean now? No, because we'll check it next year, right? Just leave it. All right, she's happier now. All right, let's go put it away. We'll find a spot for her. She's looking good. I just blew it off a little bit with compressed air just to knock some water off of it. The rest of it will dry, out here for a little while by the time I get done with other stuff. And it'll dry in the shed. I blew out certain areas that water gets trapped. All right, fellas, I'm pretty happy. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. I'm pretty happy because I still wound up with a kind of a neat carburetor. I'm going to be looking at some other carburetors too, so I want to do a live show a little bit on explaining a little bit why I like this carburetor better because of the smaller bore, right? And I talk a little bit about velocity, and I refer to one of the segments I did, one of the videos I did on the Green Rider where I was playing around with the choke and and I'm making some adjustments, and it ran better, and then the RPMs came way up, and then if you go full bore, full wide open, the RPMs came way down. And if I went too far with the choke, the smoke came out. So I want to talk a bit about that on a live stream. I think I could kind of handle that better on a live stream. Even with the shortcomings on the carburetor, I still made it work for a different application, and I think I even mentioned that to these guys in the beginning when I was kind of like looking. I'm like, why don't you send me two, and I can play around with it. They're like, no, we just need to know some about stuff. That's always a scenario. We work with a manufacturer. Everybody's trying to do the best they can, right? It's a great platform to kind of show this stuff and bring these things. I watch YouTube, right? I watch YouTube to learn, right? And so this is a nice learning environment as well. The manufacturer got some good information out of it. And as with most manufacturers, generally speaking, they try to do the right thing. There's always people out there, whether you're a YouTuber or you're a manufacturer or whatever, there's always like unscrupulous things going on. That's not the case here. I've been in engineering environments all my life, in manufacturing and engineering and repair, and I've worked with scientists. I've actually worked with, engineers and developing prototype style products. And you get this stuff, and there's usually something that somebody overlooks for whatever reason. And what you do is you try to kind of overcome that, and you take it to the next level. And you get it to there's a saying, and some of you guys may know in manufacturing, that perfection is the enemy. I forget what it is. I'll have to look it up. Perfection is the enemy of like production, or I don't know, somebody out there, maybe Ken Small Engines, he would know, right, what I'm getting to. That if you, as a manufacturer, if you try, like, why didn't they make the perfect car, right? Why does it have flaws in the 50s and the 40s? Because if you were to spend all that time and all that money to try to make it perfect, you'd never get the product out the door. You'd never make any money. The company would be under, right? It would be under. It would never get anywhere. It just takes too long. And there's some balance to where you get something, I don't want to use the term good enough, but you kind of get it good enough. I mean, how good does a lawnmower really have to be? That's like the eternal question that we argue on these kinds of channels, right? But do you really need an Arian snowblower? I was just chatting with Pat Day the other day, just briefly, and like you talk to him, and I said, do like a versus. He's like, I really can't. He's like, because all of my machines are Arians. He's like, there'll be one difference to another. He's like, but you're really, and he's like, and then can you really compare it to, I hear you, right? So I think this came out really good. And then lastly, fellas, again, promotion, advertisement versus review. This is a review. This is how, it's a perfect example of a review with a YouTuber and an audience that we can look at something with a manufacturer whose ear is open, and let's see, hopefully they'll send us another carb in the future that we can do another review. And if it comes out really good and they have responded to our requests, then we can give them the attaboy, and then I can go from review maybe to promotion, right? And to advertising. And for us YouTubers, you got to find a way to pay the bills, fellas, right? It takes us a tremendous amount of time to make these videos. And if you're constantly trying to make a better video and find another way of doing it, you're spending money on equipment, thousands of dollars, untold hours. I have an old policy from working for years, and that is it's bad politics to stick my hand in somebody else's wallet, right? I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for stopping in.